Do you have crippling social anxiety? Do you commonly feel paralyzed when going into social situations? Does the very thought of going out and talking to people scare you? Because if any of the issues I just talked about applies to you, you can actually permanently fix these without taking pills. And how do I know this? Well, because this is exactly what I did. I used to have crippling social anxiety. I used to feel like my heart was gonna burst out of my chest in social situations. I used to absolutely hate going outside and talking to people I didn't know until I permanently cured my social anxiety with 4 secrets I rarely see talked about. So if you want to cure your social anxiety with these 4 secrets that I'm about to talk about, make sure to watch till the end. So the first thing that you need to understand about social anxiety, if you actually want to cure it, is that society will oftentimes categorize social anxiety as a disorder, something that for most people is not curable, and like everything else, needs to be medicated or managed. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but I am going to tell you that internalizing what society says about your social anxiety will actually make it much harder to permanently cure your social anxiety. Because when you believe that this is a disorder that needs to be medicated and managed, instead of permanently cured, you'll only look for temporary solutions without ever reaching the source that is actually causing your social anxiety. Which is why the first secret I used, and also the first secret you're going to need to use to permanently cure your social anxiety, is simply believing that you can cure it. In my opinion, the whole reason I was even able to cure my social anxiety was because I believed I could. I never bought into the idea that there was something like genetics or trauma or external events that were holding me back. Of course, I knew these things contributed to it, but I knew that they weren't the sole cause of it, and that they could be fixed. In fact, I believed that they were malleable and dependent upon my habits, actions, and beliefs. So I want you to really ask yourself, which one do you believe? Do you believe your social anxiety can be cured? Or do you believe what society tells you, that it's just who you are? Because only one of these beliefs are going to allow you to permanently cure it, and I'm pretty sure you know which one that is. Now, if you have any brief questions, put them in the comments below. And if you're really serious and you want me to personally help you out with any issues you might be experiencing in your own life, make sure to sign up for one-on-one coaching with me. Also, make sure to download my free ebook that I made to specifically help you navigate and understand the 10 secret stages of success you'll 100% be going through on the way to achieving your dreams. You can find the links to both of these in the description and the pinned comments down below. Man, I remember when I first wanted to cure my social anxiety. I didn't know if it was possible at the time, but I knew that I wanted to. And that person I wanted to become was confident. The person I wanted to become was calm and could walk into a room and feel calm and happy no matter who was in it. The person I wanted to become was warm and had the ability to make others feel warm and comfortable in my presence. I say all of this because the second secret to curing your social anxiety involves creating a vision of who you want to be. You need to do this because when you have a positive vision to look towards, that's who you will start to identify as. And this is extremely important. I really can't stress this enough, because who you are choosing to identify as will 9 out of 10 times eventually turn into who you become. If you identify as lazy, guess what? You're gonna be lazy. If you identify as strong, guess what? You're going to do whatever it takes to become strong. And if you identify as someone with social anxiety, guess what? You're going to remain as someone with social anxiety. But if you're currently experiencing social anxiety and you start to consistently identify with someone who's confident, it'll only be a matter of time until you become confident. Now, to form your vision of who you want to be obviously takes time, and it will continually evolve throughout your life. It's not something that you're gonna just know after sitting down for 5 minutes. I mean, to this day, I'm still going back and revising things as I evolve and as I grow. The main point though is that I at least have a vision. At the end of the day, you need to have something that's driving you. So if there was no limitations and you could be anyone you wanted to be, you can act however you wanted to act. Who would that be? What would that look like? And to go even more in depth, how would that person be seen as by others? What would that person do? These are the types of questions you want to be asking yourself. And if you're really serious about this, the questions you ask yourself and the answers you get from yourself should all be written down. I personally have a journal that I put all my answers into so I can record it and know exactly who I want to become. So now we get to the fun part, because once you have a good idea of who you want to become, it's time to start putting in the work to become that person. And I know this might seem a little counterintuitive, but what you first need to do to become that person is to first understand how you became the person you are today. And to do that, you're gonna have to go back to your past. Have you ever heard the quote, "Those who cannot remember the past are doomed to repeat it"? It's talking about history, but what most people don't realize is that it's also talking about your history as well. And in your history, specific things happened that caused you to become the person you are today. And if you don't take the time to understand what those specific things that happened were, then like the quote says, you will also be doomed to repeat it. There are reasons why you have social anxiety. There are reasons why your body reacts the way it does in certain social situations. And if you want to overcome these issues, you need to figure out what those reasons are. So your current job is to do some shadow work. You need to take some time to yourself and go back to the source, the past, where it all started. When you're doing this, you want to try to go back as far as possible so you can actually figure out what those reasons are. And you want to keep going back till you hit the source of those reasons. This source is going to be your canon event. This event could be something as small as you talking at the family table when you were young and saying something that resulted in you feeling like your whole family rejected you after you said it. This feeling of rejection is important because it's this feeling that internalized into your psyche and has stuck with you since then into adulthood. So now whenever you have something to say, that trauma response comes back up without you even realizing it. And because you obviously don't want to get rejected again, instead of speaking up, your body floods you with a surge of fear, so you stay quiet. When you were young, this trauma response was created to protect you, obviously, because if you were rejected by your family as a child, to your body, that obviously means death. But now as an adult, that trauma response is no longer needed, and it's actually holding you back. But because it's such a deeply ingrained habit in your psyche, it continues to play out without you even realizing that it's playing out. But now, since you've actually taken the time to do some shadow work, go back to the past and uncover the reason for your social anxiety, your canon event, you now have awareness of this trauma, which means you now have the power to permanently cure this trauma so it no longer affects you. And the way you use this power is by applying the fourth secret, which is the most important secret to curing your social anxiety. Without this secret, everything else you do will mean nothing. I like to call this secret changing your script. And the way you change your script is actually pretty easy when you hear it, but not so easy when you try to do it. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this will most likely be the hardest part to curing your social anxiety. Because in order to change your script, you have to take consistent action. I mean, up until now, you've basically been controlled by a trauma that you didn't even know was controlling you. So going back to the example canon event I talked to you about, you now know that through the feeling you felt, that this trauma was based around fear of rejection. Mainly around fear of rejection when it comes to your voice, your expression, who you authentically are. This means that whenever you get put in a similar situation that involves you being able to authentically express yourself, this trauma will come up and try to control you by influencing you through your thoughts, emotions, and actions, which will usually manifest in you being afraid of saying the wrong things or embarrassing yourself in front of a ton of people. This fear is what is causing you to hide who you are and suppress your authentic self. So, in order to permanently cure this trauma, whenever you get put in situations like this, you need to actually push past those thoughts, emotions, and actions that are causing you to feel afraid. Actually express what you want to express. It sounds crazy, but the first couple times you do this may honestly be one of the scariest things you've ever done in your life. This is the reason why most people never actually heal their traumas, because they're too afraid to face their trauma by taking the steps that's required of them. But the thing that's good about this is the moment that you do express yourself or that you do take the steps that are necessary, you'll feel 10 times better. And the best part is, each time you face your fear of rejection trauma and overcome it, it'll get easier and easier until you eventually have no fear in areas like this at all. Congratulations, because at this point you have successfully cured your social anxiety. You definitely didn't need medication, and there's definitely nothing wrong with you. All you really need to do is believe that you can cure it. Understand who you are. Go back to the past and change your script. That's what I did. And this method has worked 100% of the time. I've used this to permanently cure several of my traumas. And in fact, I not only did this with my social anxiety, I did this with my depression. Because although society will tell you the exact same thing about your depression, I speak from experience when I say your depression is not real. And if you want to cure your depression, make sure you check out this video next. where I tell you how to do just that.